All right, y'all. So looks like I can't play the doc. Uh, I didn't think it was popular enough to where it was going to get cut off like that because I was willing to take the strike for that because it was dope as hell. And I was really, really into it. But we're just gonna have to improvise from here on out. But that's the content I had in mind. So we're just gonna wing it and see what happens, guys. So we are most definitely going to figure something out here. Stephanie, you're here. That's good to see you, and same people from the last one. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate you. And on and on. So I'm gonna kind of see what I can do about finding some more footage. And then we're gonna discuss some of this stuff. So here's a little something here. And let's see what we can do about this right here, y'all. Yeah, right. Well, I didn't even get a strike for that, Caleb, which is pretty awesome. So I'm pretty happy about that. It was just they were like, you can't play this. So I was like, well, okay. And so I'm not going to play it.
Colton Harris Moore is daring.
The longer this goes on, the more dangerous he becomes. He's stealing aircraft.
I mean, let's acknowledge that for a second. Let's acknowledge that for a second, because that's something I want to be fair here. That's something that I did not touch on at all, was the fact that this kid didn't have any formal training flying, and I've been praising him for doing it. But I mean, he could have easily crashed that plane and killed people. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the fact of the matter is he didn't. I'm just impressed. You know, I mean, what am I supposed to not be impressed by the fact that he stole 3 planes and crash landed them in safe places and nobody got hurt? I'm not supposed to be impressed by that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, give me a fucking break, dude.
Western Washington's new Jesse James.
He is the rock star of the San Juan Islands right now.
The barefoot bandit continues his crime spree.
He leaves a calling card. He leaves footprints. He is often barefoot, they believe, during the crimes.
His drug of choice is adrenaline. He enjoys the chase.
We transferred into a smaller boat because it's so shallow in this area.
When Colton Harris Moore took an airplane from Indiana and flew it out of America and took this chase international, it became the top story in the world.
Colton Harris Moore is just 19 years old, but his international multi-million-dollar crime spree reads like a movie plot.
Colton Harris Moore is a punk with a capital P.
Tough kid to catch as well.
They threw everything they could at him. They threw SWAT teams, FBI tactical teams chasing him, and they couldn't catch him.
FBI tactical teams, dude. Think about that shit for a second. This kid had the best of law enforcement after him, after a single kid with nothing but his wits. Nothing. He was armed with nothing but his wits. I mean, I think he had a gun at one point, but I mean, this kid would have never used it. I mean, this is incredible to me. I cannot get enough of hearing about this kid's story, and he's like 28 years old. He's like 27 or 28, something like that. I think he's 28. And at this point, he's out of prison, but he's having some trouble. We'll get into that a little bit more in a bit.
This is very risky stuff going on, and Colton's going to wind up dead or killing a bunch of other people.
We have been on this story for months, and we have been chasing Colton Harris Moore from the Pacific Northwest,
And we're going to start seeing these everywhere.
all the way to the Bahamas.
He came through here.
Colton is living his life as a big adventure.
Anybody that has the balls to get into an airplane they don't know how to fly and then take off into the sunset, crash land that plane.
There's the plane right up there. Do you see it? You can see the skid path.
And then say, wow, that was crazy. You know what? I think I'll do it again. That's balls.
That's balls.
Tonight,
Absolutely.
The new stunning conclusion to our 48 hours mystery, chasing the barefoot bandit.
Hey, you guys are awesome for hanging out with me this late, man. I really appreciate it.
The mystery continues in 90 seconds.
Colton Harris Moore enjoys running through the woods. He enjoys being able to be a step ahead of the police. He enjoys the chase.
Before Colton Harris Moore became famous as an international fugitive, before he attracted more than 100,000 fans on Facebook, before he stole a single airplane, he was one very unpopular teenager back in his hometown of Camano Island, Washington.
Colton Harris Moore is nothing but a thief, a criminal. He's not Robin Hood. He's not Jesse James. He's not James Bond.
I wonder what this kid's beef is, bro. Like, I mean, yeah, you got ripped off, dude. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But you're so angry at this kid's notoriety, dude. You do half the shit that this kid has accomplished. I think that's really what pisses him off, honestly, deep down. Like, and he would never lose an argument because his argument would always be, oh, well, he's a thief and I got a job and I'm working and blah, blah, blah. Okay, fair enough. But the fact of the matter is this kid has accomplished more, likely. I mean, I don't know this guy, but this kid has accomplished more and had the balls to achieve his dreams no matter what the method, without actually physically hurting anyone. So this kid had the balls to just do what he wanted to do. And achieve his dreams. And this guy is working in a fucking store in a small town. Fucking girls probably hate him. You know what I'm saying? This guy's just a bummer. And the reason why I'm talking shit about this guy is every single little short documentary that I happen to watch on this guy, with this guy being interviewed in it, he's so mad. He's so fucking mad. He's nothing but a thief. He's a parasite. Blah, 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 blah. Like, dude, calm down, bro. Calm down. So you had to change a couple of locks, bro. So you had to call your insurance company a couple times. And if you didn't have insurance for theft, then that's your fucking fault. Get real, dude. Calm down, bro.
His crime spree on this tranquil island began when he was just 10 years old. He soon advanced to breaking into homes, using stolen credit cards, and stealing boats. By the age of 19, he has a $10,000 price tag on his head and a bounty hunter on his trail.
Look at this guy.
We're gonna wait and we're gonna watch. He doesn't get to go wherever he wants.
This is the guy that when they make a movie, he's gonna be the he's gonna be the Tom Hanks. You know, his character is gonna be the Tom Hanks in Catch Me If You Can. He's gonna be the counter. He's gonna be the counter character, not the villain. You know. But you're not rooting for him to catch Colton. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just not.
He doesn't get to take whatever he wants.
In the summer of 2010,
but he does because he fucking did. He does because he did, dude. And you and every cop in that area and FBI's tactical force could not catch this kid. This 17-year-old kid up to 19 years old, and he was 6'5", 200 pounds, and you all couldn't spot this dude. And he wasn't wearing shoes, guy. He wasn't wearing shoes, dude.
And residents of Camino Island reached a breaking point. They gathered to discuss rumors that were frightening everyone.
They said he shot at a policeman. He stole a policeman's gun.
We want him stopped. Most of us want him dead. Period.
Wow. Yo, even even the town, they're like, yo, hey, yo. Hey. But back that up just a little bit, dude. Listen to the reaction of these people. This old lady's just like, yo, he's a problem. And then this guy's all mad. This guy's just all mad.
They said he shot at a policeman. He stole a policeman's gun.
We want him.
Well, he didn't shoot at a policeman. That's not true.
Stopped. Most of us want him dead. Period.
Everybody in that room, like, they were all stoked about this guy's enthusiasm, and then as soon as he says most of us want him dead, everybody's just like, whoa, hey, let's pump the brakes there, Mr. Clean. Let's chill out on that. Okay, you don't need to elaborate so much and go to those extremes. Let's look at this guy. Like, doesn't he look like he's in prison? Like, he's been in prison for like the past 40 years. Even the shirt he's wearing kind of looks like a prison uniform, and with the little CBS symbol right there. He like this guy's real bitter about life. And yo, listen, I know you're mad, but I don't think that dude was capable of stealing your chin, dude. Somebody else did that shit, guy. That wasn't him, okay? So there's no reason to wish death on somebody because you lack a chin.
Let's want him dead, period.
How did it come to this? Why would anyone want to kill this troubled teenager?
I mean, he is a criminal, but at the same time, there really is a little part of me that just really feels bad for him because I've known him, almost my whole life.
Ashley Martin grew up with Colton on Camino Island.
Caleb's funny.
He's a very sweet little kid. There he is.
That little baby face.
Yeah.
Nah, Breakfast Club. His neck is going all the way up to his bottom lip, dude. Like that. Listen, don't make me rewind that and pause it, and then we'll sit here and have a debate, chin or no chin. All right, I will stop this damn show to debate this.
Classmate Jessica Wesson remembers a little boy who always loved animals and airplanes. These are drawings Colton made as he was growing up.
Did he tell you what he wanted to do for a living when he grew up?
He mentioned that he wanted to be a pilot. When we heard he was stealing planes, I was like, well, that kind of makes sense.
Did you ever go over to his house?
No, I never went over to his house.
Maybe he didn't want Jessica to see this. This is the trailer where Colton grew up with his mother, Pam Kohler.
Why do you think Colton went from being this sweet kid that you knew when you first met him into a criminal?
Probably his upbringing. I hear his mom wasn't so nice.
The issue here is with Colton, not so much what he did, but who created this kid.
48 Hours investigator Paul.
I mean, that's another thing that we don't take into consideration, man. The one argument, in my opinion, when it comes to kids and having kids, and why the parents are solely responsible for the kids, if you have to explain and break it down, it comes down to, as far as I'm concerned, to one simple solution. So to one simple fact is nobody asked to be put here on this earth. And that includes your children. They didn't ask to be put here. You took it upon yourself to fuck somebody and have a kid and bring a child into this world, a soul, a working mind, and in most cases, brilliant in the sense of it, how you would try to picture every part of existence in the universe and how they somehow live off of each other and feed off of each other in order to grow, and how one can't have something without the other, and then bring a child into this universe to be part of that, and in their own mind. I mean, we all each have an entire universe in our heads, don't we? Right? I mean, isn't that fair to say? I mean, when we dream, doesn't it feel absolutely real? You know, don't we feel emotions? I've had dreams where I feel like I'm actually living somebody else's life through somebody else's life, through somebody else's eyes, and I'm interacting with people that I actually have feelings and emotions for. But I wake up and I remember the dream, and I'm like, I don't even know those fucking people. It happens to me all the time. So who's to say what's real and what isn't? So when you bring a child into this world, you created an entire universe. When you murder somebody, in my personal opinion, if we're speaking on a spiritual level, that's committing genocide. And some people might think that's a little crazy, but that's honestly how I feel. And the thing about that is, these beautiful, amazing entire universes that is someone's mind and soul, they never asked to be here. So it's your responsibility to make sure that they are protected and that they used their entire universes responsibly, so that they interact with everybody else's universe in a responsible manner and in a productive and kind manner, in a positive manner. We have that responsibility when we're parents, and it's easy to fail at that. It's very, very easy to fail at that. But I don't want to hear that argument that you're not responsible for your children. Whether you're a father, whether you're a mother, you had a hand in that, and you have absolute responsibility. You are completely responsible for that person and how they choose to grow and become whatever is going to start making their own decisions and as to what their interaction and place and role is going to be in this existence. So you have that responsibility.
Cialino. He uncovered court records that showed a dozen calls to Child Protective Services by the time Colton was just 14.
There was physical abuse. There was mental abuse. There was physical neglect.
I was having nightmares when I began to research his childhood. I would literally wake up in a sweat thinking about some things Colt went through.
Bob Friel is a writer from Washington State who is working on a book about Colton's life.
His biological father was in and out of that trailer home that Pam was in.
This is Colton's father, Gordon Moore, who has been mostly absent from his life. But when Colton was 12, Gordon was convicted of assault for choking the boy. Colton told a child services caseworker that his mother, Pam, was outraged at him for calling 911. Colton had nowhere to turn. As one caseworker wrote, Colton wants mom to stop drinking and get a job and have food in the house. Mom refuses.
Pam chose beer over everything. It ruined his life.
Jackie Staggs has known Pam since Colton was born.
How did Colton get his name?
If you ask Pam, she'll tell you she named him after the beer.
You're telling me that Pam named her son after Colt 45, the malt liquor?
Mm-hmm. So she told me.
Wow.
We wanted to try and meet Colton's mother,
That's
Pam, ourselves.
Jesus.
Investigator Paul Cialino and producer Sarah Pryor joined me on a walk up this dirt driveway to find some answers.
That's her house up there. Sarah, if she calls out, why don't you say you're the one who left a note?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
As the sign shows, Pam does not like visitors.
Hello, Pam?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I left you a note the other day from CBS. What's that?
I'm getting my shotgun right now.
We just want to talk to you, Pam.
What?
Can you just talk to us for a moment?
My shotgun now.
All right.
Out of here.
Wow.
Later, Pam
This lady,
changed her
dude.
mind and spoke to us off camera. She told us she'd always been a good mother.
And see, that's the thing. That's the thing. Debbie Lovin' Vapes, and welcome. It's good to see you. This kid absolutely just wanted a normal life. He absolutely just wanted a normal life. But what I admire about him and him being at such a young age, you can see that he was not taught. This is a person that they're showing that seemed to have absolutely no interest or even an inkling of the concept that that you have to pave the road for this child as to the choices he's going to make, and to create a better life for himself. But this kid went out and he tried to achieve his dreams the only way that he knew how to, because nobody taught him. He had to teach himself how to do that. And so he didn't know what a normal life was. He just went out and tried to and explored what he thought would be a normal life as best as he could. He had fantasies, and he just lived out his fantasies.
And showed us this collage Colton made when he was 15, filled with all the things Colton might say he was missing in life: money, food, and of course, airplanes.
When Colton Harris Moore would break into a vacation home, he would use the shower, he would wash his clothes, and he would sleep on the bed or sleep on the couch. He was not the traditional kid breaking in to steal booze and damage a house.
But along the way, Colton did more than just grab a snack and a shower. He stole laptops, iPods, cell phones, and jewelry. Would you say?
Like, he was a smart thief. This kid, there is nothing to indicate that this kid had any desire to self-medicate in any way whatsoever. That blows my mind, considering his background, considering that people argue that alcohol is hereditary, that it's passed down, that alcoholism is hereditary. This kid had no desire to drink. I mean, all these houses that he broke into, you know there was booze in there. He didn't steal any of the booze. You know, he didn't do anything. He didn't steal any of the prescription medications. He stole stuff that he could get money for and that he could use in order to execute his dreams.
You brought Colton into the world of crime?
I would say that I brought him into the crime of burglaries.
Meet Colton's former partner in crime and the self-described brains of the operation. Harley Davidson Iron Wing, a name for a pint-sized criminal.
What'd you guys do together?
So funny to me, dude. This dude's name is Harley Davidson Iron Wing, and he's a fucking weasel, dude. Look at this guy. Look at this guy's fucking face, dude. Look at, like, he's the kind of guy that when he's talking, if you're a bitter person and you're hanging out with this kid and he's just running his fucking mouth, you know, you just want to hit him. You just do. Like, I'm not encouraging that kind of behavior. I'm saying that I think we all experience that. And when we see certain people that behave a certain way and also look a certain way, you just want to fucking hit them, dude. And look at this guy's little fucking mustache. You know, he reminds me of Sean Penn when Sean Penn was a shithead. Like the way that the news portrayed him when he was married to Madonna, just a fucking dick. But it turns out Sean Penn's actually brilliant. I'm a big fan of his because he's a brilliant director, but and writer. But I didn't know this back when Sean Penn looked like this. He looked like Sean Penn in Bad Boys. Remember that movie? Not the Will Smith thing. There's a Bad Boys movie from the early '80s, and he gets sent to juvie and like beats the shit out of you. He gets a bunch of like soda cans unopened and puts them in a pillowcase and beats the shit out of some dude and earns the respect of everybody in the juvie hall.
Hit houses, stole cars.
Did he ever tell you he wanted to be a pilot one day?
No. He just wanted to steal planes and just fly them.
Who's this kid's parents, bro? Who the fuck names their kid Harley Davidson Iron Wing? I mean, is that really somebody's last name? Like, is his dad a badass? Who is named Iron Wing? And like these people didn't even give him any respect. They're just like, you're just like a big name for a pint-sized thief. It shit blows my mind, dude.
Countless people that blame me for what he is today.
By 2000.
Now, listen, he's whining about getting blame, right? He's whining about getting blame, but he's also like, I've showed other interviews with this kid, and or at least I watched them. I don't know what I showed in the last two, honestly. But this kid sits there and he talks like, I taught him everything he knows. I taught him everything he knows. And then here he wants to fucking bitch and moan that they're blaming him. Like, listen, dude, if you want credit, you're taking blame too. That's just, it comes with it. It comes with it. So quit whining, dude. You know, you got your name's Harley Davidson Iron Wing, dude. Like, fucking act accordingly.
2006, Colton was 15, more than 6 feet tall, and wanted by the law. Acting on a tip, deputies went to his mother's house to arrest him. All they found was this note that Colton left for his mother, which reads, "Cops want to play, huh? Well, it's not no little game. It's war, and tell them that." When Colton says it's war, what do you think he means?
Come and catch me if you can. It's a war of the minds. He wants to show them that they aren't as smart as they think they are.
It was now February 2007. After several narrow escapes from the law, Colton broke into this house while the owner was out of town. A neighbor saw a light on and called the police. After a tense 2-hour standoff, Colton was finally arrested. And he didn't seem to like the attention. Colton was sentenced to 3 years in the juvenile system. But just 1 year later, in April 2008, he climbed out the window of this halfway house. The chase was back on.
So what's the mystery? Why are they calling it a fucking mystery? It's not a mystery, dude. Like, this kid, he everyone knew who he was the whole time. His picture was out there. His name was out there. And he's 6'5" and he's 200 pounds. And the best of the best in law enforcement on that side of the country could not catch this kid. And it was federal. Feds were involved. So tactical federal teams were deployed to hunt this kid down and find him. A bounty hunter gets involved and he doesn't even find him.
Salad greens are picked this morning. Oyster?
Have a great day.
Oh, yeah.
The Salmon Islands are a wonderful place to live. We're a very tight-knit community.
And the jewel of the San Juan Island chain, says Colleen Armstrong, editor of the local newspaper, is beautiful Orcas Island.
We are covered in evergreens and cedars and madrona trees and fir and wildlife and pristine water.
But residents say everything changed in 2008 when Colton Harris Moore fled to this island after escaping from a juvenile facility near Seattle.
Colton Harris Moore is a...
Hold on, man. I want to, look at this kid's face, dude. He's a baby. He's it's crazy. For somebody who did as much as he did and experienced as much as he experienced, he still has a total look of innocence. He doesn't have the look of somebody who murdered someone, or he doesn't even have the look of somebody who is angry about being neglected as a child. He just has the look of just a kid. I mean, it blows my mind that this kid did everything that he did and looks this way. I mean, and I don't see him trying to be manipulative here in court. I mean, he pled guilty. You know, he was playing a game. Like, this is a kid who the entire time he was being chased was, I mean, yeah, he was taking credit and proudly, you know, flaunting who he was. And yet, in a way, that's still a form of taking accountability for his actions. So here he is sitting in court, taking what he's got to take like a man. Yet, you know, he doesn't seem, there's not any sense of bitterness on this kid's face.
Near Seattle.
Colton Harris Moore is a one-man crime wave.
Once the sun went down, Colton allegedly crept through the small village of East Sound, making off with whatever he could carry. What all has he taken from this town?
Money, lots of money. Tools from the hardware store, food from markets, cash from ATMs. You name it, he's taken it.
This kind of is what the town is about, or used to be about. But peace is not what this store owner is feeling.
I feel like I've been put in a situation where I have to defend my personal property.
Yeah.
Colton allegedly burglarized the Orcas Homegrown Market 3 times, transforming Kyle Ader
Isn't that beautiful?
from a serene organic grocer
It's a Dan Wesson revolver.
into Dirty Harry.
I keep a gun with me because that'll blow a pretty big hole. I need to be ready. Double action.
Kyle feels shaken by what he found after a burglary in February 2010.
I came in and there was large footprints. 39 of them, giant footprints.
39
all the way
footprints.
around the belly. And then they kind of turned, and so he'd done everything he'd done in the store, and then he was going out the side door with footprints, and it said, "See ya."
Facing bankruptcy if Colton struck again, Kyle started sleeping in his store each night with his 2 large dogs.
Wow. Hold on. I gotta see if let me see if there's a second part to this. Hopefully there is. So yeah, I'm seeing let me see if on the same channel yo, what's up with this kid, dude? I guess this kid likes Death Cab for Cutie. All right. Yeah, I don't know if part 2 is available on this bad boy. Yeah, so at least not through this user, but we're gonna find something else on this kid for sure. I was loving that I was loving that little special because this I was absolutely loving that little special. Because this I kept seeing the pictures of the footprints that he laid, that he drew down there, and yeah, I had no idea that he laid 38 of them. Like he drew down 38 of those things, man, on the floor. I mean, I knew that he wrote "See ya" and everything, and yeah, I find that totally crazy. But he took the time. I mean, and what, you know, okay, this guy's like, I got the 2 dogs, and I got this gun, but I feel like this guy, there was no reason to feel like Colton was a threat in any way. So why the big handgun? You got a big handgun. You saw the way he was talking about it. Why the big handgun? You know what I'm saying? Like he gets this huge, massive hand cannon, and his whole thing. Hey, good night, Mignon. He gets this hand cannon, and he's bragging about what it can do and everything. So he's, you know, right after, yeah, exactly, Breakfast Club fan. I mean, and it's right after he's going. I got to a point where I felt the need that I felt like I needed to protect myself, and he's coming off like this peace loving, patchouli smelling vegan, and the truth of the matter is this guy, he right, exactly, Caleb, this guy was I mean, he was itching. He's itching to use that thing, man. I mean, come on. Let's keep it real. This guy was itching to use that gun. He did, you know, oh, I feel like I have to protect myself. And he's all peace loving and shit. I mean, you know, he listens to Dave Matthews and Jack Johnson. God damn it. But you know, I mean, listen, dude, it's okay. You wanted to own a gun. You know, you don't have to use this kid as an excuse for the reason why you went out and bought this ridiculously unnecessary, this handgun with unnecessary firepower to it. You don't have to convince everybody of that shit, dude. So, you know, calm down. Just relax with that. There's no reason for all that. There's no reason for all that. And you know, and I don't know. I get blown away by everybody's. And I'm not trying to take away from the fact that these people are victims. They're absolutely victims for sure. You know, they're trying to fulfill the American dream here. You know, they're small business owners, and they're like, hey, I live in this small town. I want to pull my own weight, and I open a business, and everybody, you know, trade goods for services, you know, or trade money for goods, and everybody's happy. Everybody's got a nice little thing going on here, and this kid's just gonna come along and he's gonna fuck with that. You know, I get why they're mad. I'm not saying that they don't have a right to be mad, but you know, talking about killing them in a town meeting and buying a hand cannon, it's a touch much, don't you think? I mean, relax. He's not trying to hurt anybody. And I get that that's not. I get that it wasn't exactly apparent at the time. I mean, these people, they're not detectives. They're just small business owners, and they're just trying to make ends meet, and they're trying to put food on their table. And they're trying to do it in the most honest and American way, purest, honest American way that there is. So, you know, I admire these folks for doing what they do. But I mean, if you're these really, really sweet, good people, man, come on, act like it. And right, I was actually going to say that, Caleb. I was actually gonna bring that up. You know, he preserved his bare footprints, kept them there, right? And you know, so that people walk in, he's like, oh well, this store. I mean, it totally reminds me. I mean, it's no different. I remember I lived in Hollywood, Florida, for a little while there, right? And there was there's this laundromat. I lived in a little studio efficiency, and I didn't have a washer or dryer, but there was this laundromat not far away from where I lived, and I had to go to this laundromat to do my laundry. And right above one of the dry, I actually have a picture of it somewhere on my Facebook, because I thought it was funny. And this picture's old. It's like when I first got on Facebook too. And I thought it was hilarious. So I took a picture of it and I posted it. And right above the dryer, there's a sign, like a nicely printed sign that says, "This dryer was used in the film Striptease with Demi Moore." It's exactly what the sign said. You know, I mean, it's a point of pride. I get it, but you're not gonna sit here and convince me that you know what I'm saying? You're gonna preserve this kid's footprints, and you're gonna be all proud of the fact that he's that he robbed your store, and that he ripped you off, but you've also got the attitude that if I see him, I'm gonna blow a hole in his chest. And it's like, come on. Of course I use the dryer, Finn. Think I'm stupid? Of course I use the dryer. I mean, it was used in the film Striptease. Hello. But you're not going to convince me that the reason why you want to stop this kid is for pure notoriety. It's not because you were in fear of your life and you were sick and tired of, getting, fucking incense stolen from your place. It's come on, man. You're out there trying to, you're sitting here trying to convince us that you're this good-hearted vegan dude, and then you want to blow a hole in a kid's chest simply because he's getting on your nerves. And listen, Breakfast Club fan, that's a personal question, and it's none of your business, okay? It's none of your business. Well, it doesn't sound like you're doing any business. Ha! I beat you to it. I beat you to it. Yeah, man. That's what kills me about these people, man. It kills me about all these so-called victims, because they are victims. But as soon as you start to behave like that about what's going on, as soon as you start to act like it was more than it really was, it's like, all right, pump the brakes on that. There's no reason to make yourself out to be like you don't act like a rape victim. You know what I'm saying? Don't act like an assault victim. You somebody ripped you off. Everybody gets ripped off. There's always some dipshit that comes along and steals. I mean, there's no reason to make it out to be more than what it was. And the fact that and let's be honest about what you're really pissed off about. Not only did he rob your store once, he kept doing it. So it's like it was mentioned earlier. It was a question of I can do this. I can do this better than you. I'm better at what I do than what you are at what you do. And I get off on proving it with my actions. That was basically this kid's mindset the whole time. He was doing something that was obviously very, very illegal, and it was dangerous, granted, but in his mind, it was a game. It was an absolute game. And it would get to a point, it finally got to a point to where I think he gave himself up. I think that he absolutely gave himself up out of sheer boredom. He got tired of running. I think that he figured jail would probably be an adventure, or he was just ready to take that next step in his life. And apparently right now, that's what he's trying to do. Apparently he is, soul for music. Okay. Here's the thing. You're right. That's what all of us do. But let's think about why all of us do that. Your comment is he was hungry, so get a damn job. I promise you that I'm the first person to agree with you on that. I am totally the first person to agree with you on that. But Soul for Music, you're also just joining us. You're also just joining us here and you missed the very beginning of this. The issue with this kid, and I actually went into depth on that. The issue with this kid, Soul for Music, is that the reason why you and I feel like, okay, you're hungry, well, get a damn job. Absolutely. You should absolutely do that. But the reason why I know that, and the reason why you know that, and the reason why everybody here in this chat knows that, is because somebody taught us that. Somebody raised us to that's just the way that is. No different than someone shitting in the toilet rather than in their pants or in the yard. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said, hey, that's where you shit. Well, the thing is he didn't have anybody telling him that getting a job is what you do. His father took off and his mother took their welfare checks that they were getting because she refused to work. So he didn't have that example in front of him, first of all. And she was drinking the entire time. She was using the welfare checks for beer. So this kid grew up in an environment that failed to teach him that that's what you do, is get a job when you're hungry. So he had to fend for himself. The thing is he just got really good at it. So yes, I'm absolutely justifying his mindset when he was committing these crimes. I'm not justifying his actions. His actions were wrong. But the reason why he committed these crimes is because he did not know any other way. I mean, think about it. What are you going to do? What does an animal do, right? What does a raccoon do? A raccoon will get into your shit and take your shit. It's going to get into your food and take your food, right? Any wild animal just goes around taking what they need. This kid was basically a wild animal, and yet he was brilliant and civilized enough to where he knew he didn't want to hurt anybody, and he never hurt anybody in his actions. Well, of course. So if a raccoon or a squirrel gets in your yard and steals food from your picnic basket and you go after him, what's it going to do? Soul for Music is going to run. That's what he's going to do. Right. Exactly, Caleb. I agree with that statement. And Breakfast Club, you're absolutely right. Every species will do what they need to do to survive, not disputing that he was wrong. I totally agree with that. But in his mind, he didn't really realize how wrong it was. He didn't see anything wrong with it because he didn't know any better. Nobody's saying that he had no clue that stealing was wrong. Nobody's saying that. He just didn't know why it was wrong. That's what I'm saying. He had nobody to teach him that. He had nobody to teach him morals. He taught himself morals, just like he taught himself how to fly a plane. I mean, yo, there's nothing that you're going to sit here and tell me that's going to make me go, man, I feel stupid for supporting this kid. I mean, there's nothing that anybody in this chat's going to tell me, because every bit of his circumstances were not his fault. Oh no, I'm not getting riled up at all. I'm just saying there's nothing. Yeah, there's really no argument, especially since you're just joining us, kind of. Because I've been talking about this for 3 lives, and we've gone over this kid's childhood. We've gone over how he got caught. No, man, he went to like reform school. He would get locked up in detention. Every time he would get caught as a kid stealing, he would get locked up for like 10 days at a time. You know, he would do these little bits of time. It was kind of like being put in the corner. So nobody really ever taught him why it was wrong. So, I mean, that's just the way that is. This kid did the best he could with what he had. And you know, and that's the thing is, just Shelly, you're saying poor kid, and what I love about this story is I can't say that either. I admire this kid because, I mean, yeah, it was very unfortunate the way that he was brought up. Absolutely. But we're talking about somebody who took initiative despite that and made no excuses, just did things his own way. Didn't sit there and use it as an excuse to get pity. He didn't do any of this stuff. He just was like, well, I want to learn how to fly a plane, so I'm going to fly a plane. I don't want to live at home, and I don't want to live under anybody's rules. So I'm gonna build camp in the middle of the woods. So, right, exactly, Breakfast Club. I totally agree there. And yeah, no, you guys are right in the sense I you know, poor kid regarding his home life, but how amazing is it that he didn't use it as an excuse to grow up and start, you know, to get into a relationship with a woman, and because he had a bad relationship with his mom, start beating on some woman, you know, or become a serial rapist or a serial woman murderer. You know what I'm saying? People, that's how people end up, you know, every time we study somebody who turns out to be a serial killer or somebody like this, they always have some sort of background very similar to this. And this kid did not have this kid did not do anything like that. He didn't physically hurt anybody. He avoided people. He eluded people. I mean, that's incredible. This kid was 6'5" and 200 pounds, and he would hide in trees when everybody was with dogs and flashlights looking for this kid in the woods. This guy had the best law enforcement specialists and tactical officers hunting this kid down. This kid had professional human hunters hunting this kid down, and he eluded them all until the third plane that he stole. He flew it all the way. He stole it from Indiana and flew it all the way to the Bahamas. Crash landed in the Bahamas like he crash landed the other two planes. Crash landed into the Bahamas. And and eventually, like he I'm gonna get to this comment in just a second, but eventually he winds up just initiating a chase. He taunts these people, these locals in the Bahamas, to chase him down and tell him to call the cops. And then they finally catch him because he gets caught on a sandbar. And I'm going to address this comment. Breakfast Club, he's already out of jail. I mean, he's already like 27, 28 years old. And the latest thing that I could find, I'm going to look for something else soon. I'm going to find something else that I could play here and we can watch. But we're talking about a kid who at least at 19 or 2019, last year, he wrote a letter to a judge, and I think I'm going to read that letter in just a minute. But he wrote a letter to a judge because he's confined to the area that he's living in. He can't travel, and he has all these opportunities now to legitimately make really good money and apply his know-how to and not even his know-how of being a thief. He has the opportunity to apply what he's learned from his experiences to kind of guiding other people to do something better. So not only is he doing the best that did he do the best he can for himself, despite the lack of guidance that he had, he wants to take the experience that he had from a lack of guidance and say, you know what, I want to give back, and I want to give people guidance. So this kid is not only doing the best that he can with what happened to him, but he's doing that and then some. You know, I mean, it's pretty incredible. So I'm gonna look. Let's see. I'm gonna play this little piece here. So hold on.
Colton Harris Moore, the teenager known as the Barefoot Bandit, was indicted in Seattle this week. Tomorrow night, 48 Hours Mystery has an hour-long special on his alleged international crime spree, including exclusive police interrogation video. 48 Hours correspondent Peter Van Zandt has a preview.
By the spring of this year, Colton Harris Moore's audacious aerial joyrides, including 4 airplane thefts, had put him on the radar of law enforcement in 2 countries. He had been on the run for 2 years.
He's getting more attention in the United States than Bin Laden does.
Maybe that's why Colton left the United States. In July, he allegedly stole his 5th plane in Indiana and flew it all the way to the Bahamas. We finally made it to Colton's plane. The landing skid path through here is about 50 yards long, and if you look right here, he lost a landing gear as he was making this crash landing. He managed to keep it level somehow. As you can see, the nose is in the grass. He got out of that plane reportedly uninjured and headed into the island. The Royal Bahamian Police vow they will find the infamous Barefoot Bandit.
We should be able to take him down, have him in custody in the quickest possible time.
Harris Moore flaunted authorities for 6 days on the island, breaking into at least 7 homes and businesses on one last crime spree. But by week's end, they got him in custody. In this video, exclusive to 48 Hours, the police question Colton, now outfitted in a bulletproof vest. They offer him food and water. And check out the world's most famous bare feet. They also ask where he got his gun.
I can't remember.
A Walther PPK, the same type used by James Bond. He says he doesn't remember, and they all share a laugh. After a quick court hearing, Colton Harris Moore is deported back to the United States.
And Peter Van Sant, also back in the United States after his globetrotting, and he joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You can't make this stuff up. This is crazy.
I'd say this is like out of a movie, and it's going to become a major motion picture. It's an extraordinary tale of a brilliant young man who sadly went off the rails.
Yeah.
But you know, we got to know this guy by following him around the country for all those months.
You kind of had a taste of what it was like to be the authorities chasing him, because you would go and go and go and never seem to catch him. How was he finally caught?
Yeah, this is like the movie, Catch Me If You Can.
Yes.
We were always just a few steps behind Colton. And when we got into the Bahamas at the end of this story, we were the first people out to his downed aircraft. We were on this island called Abaco, going to business as we heard he had done various break-ins. It was a very exciting story to follow.
How was he finally captured?
He stole a boat from a place called Harbor Island, and he made a big mistake. He was heading out to open ocean, hot pursuit of the Bahamian authorities right behind him. He hits a sandbar of all things. This kid who had taught himself how to fly hits a sandbar. They come up, shoot out his engine so he can't flee anymore. He puts a gun to his head, and then eventually they talk him down and they arrest him.
Wow. And at that moment, the 23,000 members of his Facebook fan club went, aw.
Yeah, you know what?
It's crazy that he actually had a fan club.
It got to more than 100,000 members.
Did it?
Yeah. And
wow, dude.
Was tragic.
We can't wait for the story tomorrow. Peter Van Sant, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Be sure to watch 48 Hours Mystery on the Barefoot Bandit tomorrow night at 10, 9 Central, right here on CBS.
Yeah, man. I wish I could find part 2 of that, dude. That, like, I would love to see that. All right, hold on. I think I might have something here. I don't know if I'm. Oh, this is something else. Oh yeah, this is some bullshit. So I don't. Yeah, I think maybe there's a segment here that's got that. So give me a second, and I'm going to see if I can find. All right. Okay, yeah, I found some fun shit here. Okay. All right, guys. You ready for some more? So we already saw some of this. Oh, no. Okay. This is the second part. Sweet. Okay. Right on. Oh, man. I know. I'm sorry about my chair, guys. Yo, I bet that guy has a girlfriend and she fucking hates him, dude. I bet you anything. I'll bet you anything that that guy's got a girlfriend and she cheats on him because he's a dick. Because he's just an asshole. He's bitter all the time. I bet you anything. Okay, we already saw this, but it's funny as shit to me, so we're gonna watch it again. Look, dude, all one neck that goes straight from his bottom lip all the way down to his fucking chest. I'm telling you, this guy's got no goddamn chin. I love how the whole town turned on that guy. Oh, I can't get enough of that. Cray, I'm sorry. That's the best I can do. I think it's just the way that this was uploaded on YouTube, so I don't have any real control over how the sound is. So I don't know. Is the sound so bad that you guys can't hear it? Type a 2 if it sucks. Type a 1 if it's all right. Damn, because I can hear it fine, but so you guys can't make out anything that's being said here? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do something here. All right, I'm gonna try to reinitiate it. Hopefully it works. But my earbuds have been in this whole time. Can you hear it now?
Would call not so much what he did.
What about
who
now?
Created this kid. 48 Hours investigator Paul Cialino. He uncovered court records that showed a dozen calls to Child Protective Services by the time Colton was just 14. There was physical abuse.
Oh, that's some
There
bullshit.
was mental abuse.
Hold on a second. Because I want to play this bullshit now. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, cool. All right, cool.
There was physical neglect. I was having
It's perfect
nightmares when I began to research his childhood. I would literally wake up in a sweat thinking about some things Colt went through. Bob Friel is a writer from Washington State who is working on a book about Colton's life. His biological father was in and out of that trailer home that Pam was in. This is Colton's father, Gordon Moore.
So hopefully because I really like soulful music a lot, and I'm hoping she's still in the chat, because if she's still in the chat, then she'll get a better idea of what we were talking about, since we're watching the shit again pretty much.
Absent from his life. But when Colton was 12, Gordon was convicted of assault for choking the boy. Colton told a child services caseworker that his mother, Pam, was outraged at him for calling 911. Colton had nowhere to turn. As one caseworker wrote, Colton wants mom to stop drinking and get a job and have food in the house. Mom.
So she won't work, and she won't put food in the house. And this kid, his dad choked him, and his mom flipped out on him because he called 911 for his dad choking him, because he just needed help. And the fact that she went off on him for calling 911 indicates to me, and the way that she was living her life indicates to me, that she didn't do anything to help this kid at all. She saw him as a burden, and or at least she didn't realize she saw him as a burden. Because it's funny, in that documentary that I couldn't play, she's interviewed extensively in it, and she says things that sound like hold on. Can you not hear me now? Okay. You freaked me out. Okay. So she says things that okay. Okay, Breakfast Club. She says things that you kind of root for her, you know. She's like, when the cops would come to her house, apparently Colton would stop in there and she'd feed him, and he'd say, they'd say, well, you know, that's aiding and abetting, and he would say something, and she would say something like, well, I mean, it's my son. If he comes here and he's hungry, I'm going to feed my son. You're not going to tell me that that's aiding and abetting a fugitive when it's my son and he's hungry. So yeah, it's kind of weird, because we're getting a very different picture of this woman here.
Refuses.
Pam chose beer over everything. It ruined his life.
Jackie Staggs has known Pam since Colton was born. How did Colton get his name?
If you ask Pam, she'll tell you she named him after the beer.
You're telling me that Pam named her son after Colt 45, the malt liquor?
Mm-hmm. That's what she told me.
We wanted to try and meet Colton's mother, Pam, ourselves. Investigator Paul Cialino and producer Sarah Pryor joined me on a walk up this dirt driveway to find some answers. That's her house up there. Sarah, if she calls out, why don't you say you're the one who left the note?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
As the sign shows, Pam does not like visitors. Hello, Pam?
I'm Sarah. I left you a note the other day from CBS. What's that? I'm getting my shotgun right now. We just want to talk to you.
What,
Pam.
you don't
Please
watch
talk to us
CBS,
for a moment.
lady?
My shotgun now.
Later, Pam changed her mind and spoke to us off camera. She told us she'd always been a good mother, and showed us this collage Colton made when he was 15, filled with all the things Colton might say he was missing in life: money, food, and of course, airplane.
You know what they call those nowadays? You know what Shanann would call that, right? Let's see who's going to be the first one to call that what that's called now, and what Shanann would call that. That collage there. What would you call that? Because this kid, exactly, cray cray. Exactly. That is exactly what that is, a vision board. And this kid, I seriously doubt that he watched The Secret or read the book The Secret. I'm pretty sure that this kid just kind of came up with this concept on his own, or at least I like to believe that he did based on the rest of his innovative behavior. I think that this kid thought to do that himself and to manifest these visions into a reality in his own way, and the only way he knew how. This kid is ambition incarnate with a horrible upbringing. It's crazy to me. Crazy.
When Colton Harris Moore would break into a vacation home, he would use the shower, he would wash his clothes, and he would sleep on the bed or sleep on the couch. He was not the traditional kid breaking in to steal booze and damage a house. But along the way, Colton did more than just grab
think about that. As angry as this kid was, again, he felt no desire to self-medicate at all. And as angry as he was, he didn't vandalize. He didn't trash these houses. He didn't do anything vindictive. He didn't do anything spiteful. He didn't do anything petty. He knew what he needed to do. He basically just took what he felt like he needed in order to realize his vision, to realize his dreams. He took only what he needed.
Snack and a shower. He stole laptops, iPods, cell phones, and jewelry. Would you say you brought Colton into the world of crime?
I would say that I brought him into the crime of burglaries.
Meet Colton's former partner in crime and the self-described brains of the operation, Harley Davidson.
This guy. Hold on. I love how 48 Hours is just like they cut this dude down to nothing immediately. They're like, fuck this guy.
Would you say you brought Colton into the world of crime?
I would say that I brought him into the crime of burglaries.
Meet Colton's former partner in crime and the self-described brains of the operation, Harley Davidson Iron Wings, a big name for a pint-sized criminal.
For a pint-sized criminal.
Hit houses, stole cars.
Did he ever tell you he wanted to be a pilot one day?
No. He just wanted to steal planes and just fly them. I have countless people that blame me for what he is today.
See, what a fucking asshole. Maybe he either he's lying, or maybe you're not the kind of fucking guy or the kind of friend that somebody can get that deep with and divulge those kind of fantasies to, those deep secrets of his, those things that some little tiny little dipshit like you would probably make him feel inadequate in some way, make him feel like a sissy because he actually wants to do something with himself. The dickhead.
2006, Colton was 15, more than 6 feet tall, and wanted by the law. Acting on a tip, deputies went to his mother's house to arrest him. All they found was this note that Colton left for his mother, which reads, "Cops want to play, huh? Well, it's not no little game. It's war, and tell them that." When Colton says it's war, what do you think he means?
Come and catch me if you can. It's a war of the minds. He wants to show them that they aren't as smart as they think they are.
That's the first thing that this kid made sense. That it's the first thing this kid said that made sense. It was definitely a game to Colton. I mean, we have to keep in mind here, this kid is basically a master thief and a master eluder. Doesn't even seem to describe, the word master when it came to his skills in eluding authority doesn't even seem to cover it. master is an understatement, the way this kid did it. And you know, but I think this kid just this Harley Davidson Iron Wing. Listen, dude, I don't think I can meet unless I met a guy that was like 6'5" and 300 pounds and like just looked like life had just run him over a million times and all he got was thick skin out of it. I'm not taking a guy with a name like that seriously. I'm not taking that guy seriously. Wait, what's your name? Harley Davidson Iron Wing? Nah, seriously, man, what's your name? I'm not taking that guy seriously in the slightest bit. Like, that's like in Step Brothers. Remember when they first meet? Yeah, my name's Brendan. But people call me Falcon or whatever the hell he said. Sounds like some self-proclaimed bullshit name.
It was now February 2007. After several narrow escapes from the law, Colton broke into this house while the owner was out of town. A neighbor saw a light on and called the police. After a tense 2-hour standoff, Colton was finally arrested. And he didn't seem to like the attention. Colton was sentenced to 3 years in the juvenile system.
Okay, so that's from the first time he was arrested. That's when he was 17. And I mean, but the fact that he even had paparazzi after him at 17, he already had the press following him from his thievery the first time he gets busted. And the judge finally says, you know, no more. Like, no more of these 10-day little stints in the group home. You're going to jail, dude. So the judge is just not having this kid anymore. But even then, he doesn't like the intention. He's freaking out over it. He's already putting out there that he doesn't like paparazzi. He's freaked out by the whole thing.
Just 1 year later, in April 2008, he climbed out the window of this halfway house.
So he does a year there. He does a year in this halfway. Well, I don't know what he does, because I think he goes to a group home and then a halfway house. But I mean, he's in an orange jumpsuit there. And, you know, they don't just send you to a halfway house when you're in an orange jumpsuit and you've been stealing forever and you're the type to run. So, I mean, who knows? We'll see.
The chase was back on.
Salad greens are picking sport.
Washington's so beautiful, man. I love it there.
Oh, yeah.
The Sandwich Islands are a wonderful place to live. We're a very tight-knit community.
And the jewel of the San Juan Island chain, says Colleen Armstrong, editor of the local newspaper, is beautiful Orcas Island.
We are covered in evergreens and cedars and madrona trees and fir and wildlife and pristine water.
But residents say everything changed in 2008 when Colton Harris Moore fled to this island after escaping from a juvenile facility near Seattle.
Colton Harris Moore is a one-man crime wave.
Once the sun went down, Colton allegedly crept through the small village of East Sound, making off with whatever he could carry. What all has he taken from this town?
Money, lots of money. Tools from the hardware store, food from markets, cash from ATMs, you name it, he's taking it.
This kind of is what the town is about, or used to be about. But peace is not what this store owner is feeling.
I feel like I've been put in the situation where I have to defend my personal property.
Colton allegedly burglarized the orchestra.
Yeah, look at what this guy feels like he has to defend his personal property with from this kid.
Homegrown market 3 times, transforming Kyle Ader from a serene organic grocer
It's a Dan Wesson revolver.
into Dirty Harry.
I took the gun with me because that'll blow a pretty big hole. I need to be ready. Double action.
Kyle,
Ready for what, dude? Ready for what? What do you need to be ready for? This kid is gonna take your food. You're gonna be ready to blow a hole, as you said, into a kid who just wants to eat, and he doesn't want to live with his alcoholic mom, and he doesn't want to be locked up for it because he doesn't want to live with his alcoholic mom.
Kyle feels shaken by what he found after a burglary in February 2010.
I came in and there was large footprints. 39.
He absolutely has a punchable
way
face.
around the deli, and then they kind of turned, and so he'd done everything he'd done in the store, and then he was going out the side door with footprints, and it said "See ya."
Facing bankruptcy if Colton struck again, Kyle started sleeping in his store each night with his 2 large dogs.
All right, well, we're all locked down.
And this is your bed for the night.
That's where I'm gonna sleep. Come on, girls.
I completely agree, Breakfast Club fans.
This is my whole life, my whole livelihood, and my family's livelihood. So I have to be prepared to defend my own.
Your best guess is Colton's still here.
Yeah, right now I think he's in Deer Harbor. He's in a 4-story home over there. Had the heat turned on, popcorn all over the place. I guess he likes popcorn.
Colton spent months on Orcas Island, allegedly committing more than 20 break-ins and burglaries. Police released these surveillance camera photos from a local market. Legend grew that he was now hiding out somewhere in the forest. Here we are in the great primal forest of Orcas Island. And Colton could be out there somewhere, right?
Yeah, this is his stomping grounds. What you're looking at is Colton's land. He could be out there camping, foraging. He could be watching us right now for all we know.
And he'd have a big smile on his face.
Yes, he would. Be loving every minute of it.
Colton did seem to be enjoying himself. He used stolen cameras to snap these self-portraits. This one became the iconic shot of the barefoot bandit featured on wanted posters everywhere. Is the sheriff's department, are they embarrassed by this? The fact that they haven't been able to find this kid?
I think it's incredibly frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
With the sheriff stymied, we decided to track Colton ourselves.
Funny as fuck.
Local realtor Suzanne Vidal. Can we follow you in?
Sure.
Suzanne invited us inside a vacation house.
Oh, looks good so far.
That she thought had sat empty for the past 8 months.
Strange feeling somebody's been on the bed. Huh.
It's clear a stranger has been here. I've been slept on.
It almost looks like somebody's been on the bed, doesn't it?
Look at this depression here in the bed.
Gives me the chills. The
Well,
toilet seat was up though, like a man had used it.
As
I
we walk
mean,
through the house,
I hate to break it to you guys, but people sleep in beds, dude. So there's usually an imprint of a person in a fucking bed.
Oh, this door's open.
more evidence.
Oh gosh, it's open too.
You are certain that door was locked?
Yes, it's.
So somebody's been here.
You know, actually, if you look at the table, there's food on the table.
Look at here. There's crumbs. Look at this big one.
Popcorn.
What's that?
Popcorn.
This kid loves to make popcorn in people's houses, dude.
I'm very serious. The places that he's found, generally, there's a lot of popcorn around.
I think I'm just going to ask the sheriff's department to come over here and take a look around.
Suzanne calls the sheriff.
That is awesome.
And a deputy quickly responds. The house was dusted for fingerprints. Was Colton here?
Yeah.
Is this a place of interest for you guys?
The sheriff's department won't tell us. But these kinds of discoveries drive the locals over the edge.
He gets an adrenaline rush from ripping people off.
Marion Rathbone operates Ferns,
How's the view?
a local restaurant.
Good. Colton Harris Moore is a punk-ass kid who has caused more damage to more of the small people.
Bro, listen, lady. A punk-ass kid. Like, okay, again, I get it, all right? I totally understand why these townspeople are upset because they work hard, okay? These people work hard to build a business, to achieve the American dream. But this is the thing, though. This is why I look at these people as pricks, as assholes to a certain degree. Yes, they're victims of theft. I get that. I'm not trying to take that away from them. But they probably never even gave this kid a chance. This is a small town. You don't think everybody in this little small town has known about Colton's mom and Colton's dad and how he was brought up? And instead of thinking, hey man, this kid, man, he never had a chance. Well, he's just a punk ass kid from a shitty home environment, and that's not our problem. Well, you know what? If you look at him like that and you're dismissive of him, you know, and you're dismissive of the way that he grew up, well, then you're probably a fucking asshole. And guess what? If you're a fucking asshole, then I don't really feel bad for you for getting ripped off. Especially since he didn't do anything beyond taking what he felt like he needed. He didn't vandalize your place of business. He didn't cost you any more money than you know, or any more headache than. He was actually polite in the way that he went about it, which is kind of crazy. You know, I mean, one could argue like, Will, are you fucking serious? You're talking about a guy who broke into these places, you know, and you're saying he was polite? Well, I mean, as polite as a burglar can be. I'll word it that way. He was considerate to them. He was considerate to, you know, hey, sorry to take your shit, but I'm taking your shit. But he's not trashing the place. We're talking about a kid who's clearly angry, had every reason to have all the angst in the world. And yet he didn't do anything out of line beyond taking what he needed to fulfill his standard for living, which was a very modest standard when you think about it.
The little people. He's a piece of crap.
Oh, fuck you, lady.
He got in through here.
Marion says Colton scaled the side of her building with Spider-Man-like moves.
He knocked the wood in and was able to climb in through that little hole there.
This security camera video shows the burglar running through Marion's restaurant. Someone who looks very much like Colton.
Listen, soul for music. Nobody's saying that they should be okay with it. Nobody's saying that they should be okay with it. I'm saying if you live in a small town, you're going to tell me that you don't know how this kid was brought up? You didn't hear all the rumors? Come on, man. and then there's not 1 ounce of empathy for this kid, I call bullshit on that. Fuck those people.
And is clearly barefoot.
The safe was right here, around the corner.
He stole $15,000 from Marion's safe, her entire summer's profit.
And after I pulled myself up off the floor because I dropped to my knees, all I kept saying was, oh my God, oh my God.
And Marion says it wasn't the first time that Colton had broken in.
He had been in this office a week before and used one of the credit cards that I had stashed on my computer right there to order a How to Fly Small Aircraft DVD.
How to fly a small aircraft?
Computer displays replaced the.
Is this really the way Colton taught himself how to fly?
Hold on. Let's hear that one more time.
Colton taught himself through Marion's recipe.
There's food on the table.
Hold on, I went a little too far.
But these kinds of discoveries drive the locals over the edge.
He gets an adrenaline rush from ripping people off.
Marion Rathbone operates Ferns,
How's the view?
a local restaurant.
Kid who has
Through Marion's restaurant.
Hold on, sorry.
Restaurant.
Just trying
kid
to.
who has caused more damage to more of the small people, the little people. He's a piece of crap. He got in through here.
Marion says Colton scaled the side of her building.
Well, sweet crazy. Frank Abagnale never learned how to fly. He just posed as a pilot. He only posed as a pilot, but he never actually learned how to fly. This kid taught himself how to fly a plane. Hold on.
Running through Marion's restaurant. But these kinds of discoveries drive the locals over the edge.
He gets an adrenaline rush from ripping people off.
Marion Rathbone operates Ferns,
How's the view?
a local restaurant.
Yeah,
Colton
and on
Harris
and on.
Moore
You're
is a
hearing
punk-ass
this
kid who
correctly.
has caused more damage to more of the small people, the little people. He's a piece of crap. He got in through here.
Marion says Colton scaled the side of her building with Spider-Man-like moves.
He knocked the wood in and was able to climb in through that little hole there.
Spider-Man.
This security camera video shows the burglar running through Marion's restaurant. Someone who looks very much like Colton and is clearly barefoot.
The safe was right here, around the corner.
He stole $15,000 from Marion's safe, her entire summer's profit.
And after I pulled myself up off the floor because I dropped to my knees, all I kept saying was, oh my God, oh my God.
And Marion says it wasn't the first time that Colton had broken in.
He had been in this office a week before and used one of the credit cards that I had stashed on my computer right there to order a How to Fly Small Aircraft DVD.
How to fly a small aircraft?
Dude, so this kid, he totally made himself at home. Like, I mean, I think it's awful. I think it's awful that he stole the 15 grand, but he obviously was doing it. He had a plan. But here's the thing. He stole $15,000 in cash in her summer's profit. That's awful. That's terrible. But she's also a business owner. And if she's a business owner, that money is insured. So I guarantee you that she got that money back. I guarantee you that she didn't actually lose that money. What she got was a headache. And what she got was a major inconvenience. But she didn't really lose $15,000. And we're not even sure if that's exactly what she lost. That could be what she just claimed to the insurance agency what she lost. People do that shit all the time. But I'm not going to go and accuse this lady of insurance fraud. I'm just saying she got that money back. You know, unless you're a fucking idiot or you have an illegitimate business, your profits, your money is insured. You are insured for theft. So I guarantee you she got that money back.
Computer displays replaced the. Is this?
So this kid ends up taking the credit card. He ends up taking the credit card that she had stashed, right? And then sits on her computer. She points at the computer and she's like, he sat right at that computer and ordered a How to Fly an Airplane DVD. And and he had it delivered to her restaurant. So, and then he went and just like picked up, he had the stuff delivered there and picked it up, probably watched the DVD there, ate her food, chilled. Incredible.
Really the way Colton taught himself how to fly? KZOK, good morning. It's 8:41. Bob Rivers here.
Oh, this guy.
Bob Rivers is a Seattle radio personality. Back in the fall of 2008, Colton Harris Moore stole Rivers' Cessna single-engine plane from a hangar on Orcas Island. The day my plane was stolen, it was a brutal, gusty, windy day. In the first flight where Colton took off himself, he flew over the Cascade Mountain Range with wind gusts coming from every direction, taking that plane and shaking it like a soda can. As he flew over the mountains, Colton found himself trapped in a whiteout at 13,000 feet. That must have been a terrifying flight. It was. There was vomit in the cockpit, and our sources say Colton felt sure he was going to die. But miraculously, he made it, flying 250 miles from Orcas Island to a field outside Yakima, Washington, where he crashed. Incredibly, Colton simply walked away.
So yeah, dude. So here's this kid, and in that documentary that I was gonna show, they had an animated like reenactment of this situation where he's in the plane and he's freaking out, and you see him just barf all over the windshield of the plane, and he's just scared out of his mind, and then he just crash lands the plane. It's fantastic how he just does that. He just, he crash lands this plane and just gets out and moves along.
How did this high school dropout learn to fly? When Colton wants to learn something, Colton will do that. He will accomplish that, unlike anyone I've ever experienced before. Colton apparently taught himself using that flight DVD he'd ordered online with a stolen credit card. Learning to fly is a lot of fun, as well as being challenging. Watching video is not a substitute for good instruction. The DVD is distributed by a company called Sporties. And as you can see here, the sophisticated graphics mimic the computerized controls in many modern planes. I had the hardest time when I began researching this story, getting pilots to believe that this could possibly be this 17-year-old kid. And 48 Hours has been told Colton studied the Cessna's manual before that first flight. Even people who were obsessed with flying, loved airplanes, knew everything about airplanes, they would have killed themselves. Colton was able to pull it off. After he fled the downed plane, our sources say Colton hopped a freight train to Reno, Nevada. He lied about his age and got a job at a casino.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
For 6 months.
So he got a job.
On September 11th, 2009, Colton resurfaced in a big way. He was now back home in
But
Washington.
how the fuck did a casino hire this kid with no ID? That's what that blows my mind. I mean, he lied about his age, sure, but I mean, this isn't 1972. You know, like you can't get a job without ID. You need it. You need, especially in a casino. I mean, in order to get a job at McDonald's, you got to have an ID and a social security card, not just a number, a card. So how he got away with that blows my mind.
Washington State, where authorities say he stole a second plane, this time making a dramatic nighttime landing on Workus Island. Colton's daring exploits inspired several fan clubs on Facebook, and tens of thousands signed up.
I think he loves the media attention. He absolutely does monitor the internet, our website, Facebook, Twitter, blogs, you name it, he's reading it.
Overnight, the legend
Yeah,
of
but
Colton Harris
not a
Moore
casino Breakfast Club fan.
became his own cottage industry. People began selling Fly Colton Fly t-shirts, urging him to go for it. Some even wrote songs. Like a hero, he can give us hope.
These songs are ridiculous, dude. I'm gonna see if I can find some of these
It
when
was
this is
now a
over.
year and a half since Colton had escaped from that halfway house. He crossed the border into Canada, allegedly stole 2 guns, and then crossed back into the U.S. without anyone stopping him. As he sought planes to steal, he traveled from one tiny airport to another, where security was low and the planes were easy pickings.
When I arrived here, the plane was gone. This door was open.
Authorities say the barefoot bandit had struck again, here in Idaho, bagging his 3rd plane in less than a year.
You could say Colton Harris Moore's life is very similar to a video game. This is a game to him.
Yeah, that's funny. I
But it
talked
was
about
not
that
a game for Homeland and Security, which
the
had now
first time
joined
that I talked about this, the first live that I did, and I talked about this. I mean, you could make a Barefoot Bandit game, a Barefoot Bandit video game, and just make the shit that this kid did levels in the game to have to beat in order to beat the game. It's crazy.
in the investigation. And when that 3rd plane was located in a field in Granite Falls, Washington, police closed in, but backed off when they heard a gunshot.
From that point, things became very serious for Colton Harris Moore. To him, it may have just been a higher level of the video game. For the law enforcement, they treated him as armed and potentially dangerous.
Colton, now suspected of committing at least 65 crimes, decided to lay low. He surfaced yet again in February 2010.
Yeah, see, Sweet Crazy, he can't do anything. Like, another thing that makes his story very, very special is when he got caught and when he did his time. According to the documentary that I couldn't show, he was ordered. He actually made a movie deal where they were going. They're apparently supposedly 20th century. I couldn't find anything in Google about it, but apparently 20th Century Fox made a movie deal. And he sold the rights to his story to 20th Century Fox for somewhere north of $1 million. And he had to pay every penny of that to all of his victims that he stole from. So regardless of the fact that any of these people, like, their insurance probably covered everything that they lost, if they had legitimate businesses and he stole from these businesses, if they were insured, they probably got everything back. And on top of that, the money that he made from 20th Century Fox making that movie deal, he ends up having to pay them back with that. So not only did they get back what they lost, more than likely, they more than likely made money off of being victims from him. So I don't feel bad for none of these people anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like they're good. Everything's all settled up with them. Everything's all good with them. So to sit here and bitch and moan and whine about all these poor people, well, yeah, at the time, but shit. I mean, not now. Come on.
Allegedly stealing his fourth plane, this one a six.
Oh, and what I was gonna say, Sweet Crazy, is yeah, he can't make money if he's not. When you commit crimes like this, you can't make money off of it. I mean, there's probably ways around it, but there's no way that he's gonna legally be allowed to like develop a video game that glorifies his crimes. And he gets the profit off of it. That's just not going to happen.
$150,000 series. Authorities say Colton was aloft just 10 minutes, flying from Anacortes, Washington, back to the now familiar airport on Orcas Island. And once again, the authorities were hot on his trail. And after getting a tip that Colton was hiding somewhere on Turtleback Mountain, they pounced.
I was sleeping in this bed here. I hear a doorbell ring.
Homeowner High Stickney saw the response firsthand.
What time was it? About 1:30 or quarter to 2 in the morning. So I roll out of the bed and here's a helicopter hovering maybe 100 yards off the window. You're kidding. With the lights going.
Wow.
Got shining down.
He rushed to answer the front door.
And I see FBI across the chest of this guy's uniform. And then I'd see over his shoulder in the background 2 or 3 police cars and FBI cars. 10 or 12 people milling around in uniform out there. And I think, well, that's it. So, I mean, this has to be absolutely startling. That was startling.
Hovering out here.
Yeah.
The next morning, police found these footprints in the mud. The infamous Barefoot Bandit had done the impossible. Surrounded on all sides, he escaped. But the Colton video game was veering into the danger zone.
Where is your emergency? Please do something immediately. Somebody in our home. Oh my God. Said they were going to shoot us.
By the spring of 2010, Colton Harris Moore's audacious aerial joyride, including 4 airplane thefts, had put him on the radar of law enforcement in 2 countries. He had been on the run for 2 years.
Up here in the Northwest, we have the Border Patrol looking for him. We have the Canadian officials looking for him. We have Homeland Security, the FBI. I mean, he's getting more attention in the United States than Bin Laden does.
While we were on Orcas Island with investigator Paul Ciolito, Colton slipped away once again. A boat was stolen from a nearby island, and authorities believe this man, captured by a security camera, is Colton Harris Moore. Why is he getting so active?
He's got to keep moving, because if he sits still, they're going to catch him.
Colton began moving south, pausing just long enough to leave this note with $100 in cash at a veterinary clinic in Raymond, Washington. He asked the money be used for, quote, the care of animals.
Why did he do that? It's admirable that he loves animals, but, I mean, it doesn't help him.
That donation gave the sheriff's deputies back on Colton's home turf an idea of where he was heading. They warned several police jurisdictions in the area and began tracking car thefts in Oregon, Idaho, and Wyoming. And then Colton surfaced in tiny Yankton, South Dakota.
Please do something immediately. Somebody's in our home. Somebody in your house? They're going to shoot us.
Did you say they're going to shoot you?
We went in the garage. We went into the house. We were carrying the children. And they said they were going to shoot us.
That frantic voice is the wife of Yankton resident Kelly Kneifel. The couple and their 4 young children were returning home from a family vacation at 3 a.m.
My wife stepped back here and screamed, and I went bolting past her, opened this door, and right there was a young man, naked, turning around, running away from me. Chasing him down the stairs. Get out of my house, get out of my house. It was about right here that I could see a laser light pointing at me. And he said, "Stop, I've got a gun, I'll shoot.
They called police. But by the time they got there, Colton was gone. He's a potential killer at that point. If that was a gun aimed at a chest, obviously. It was a very close call, but Colton continued his summer run, allegedly stealing cars and breaking into one small airport, but he did get in after another. It was probably after, an airplane. Across the Midwest.
He didn't get in them because they were locked.
Where would he have gone if he got in an airplane, you think?
Well, I think he makes the big jump. He gets 200-300 miles away real quick.
But this time, Colton had much bigger plans. And leapfrog over the rest of the United States. Our pursuit of Colton Harris Moore has taken a dramatic turn because Colton has taken a dramatic turn.
Actually, Copper Star Misery, he did have a real gun that I think he stole from somebody's house. But he never actually used it. The closest thing to using it that he ever actually did was either that discharge, which we still don't know actually came from that gun, or when he was actually caught, he put it to his own head and threatened to kill himself. And when they shot out the engines of the boat, he put his hands up and put the gun down and put his hands up, and then he surrendered.
He allegedly stole an airplane in Bloomington, Indiana, and flew it 1,200 miles to this place. It's an island called Abaco. It's in the Bahamas, and the plane crash landed, and that's where we're heading right now, is to check this out. With the help of some locals, we hire a couple of boats and set out across the shallow Bahamian waters. Heading to the airplane. If you look way in the distance, you see some silver shining. That's the tail of the airplane. We got about a mile walk to do through this muck. We've been hiking through this muck for about an hour. Everybody's exhausted. The sun's going down. We only have about 40 minutes before it gets dark. airplane and headed into the island. Hot on the trail of the Barefoot Bandit, we take off for Marsh Harbor, Abaco's biggest town. Do they have a tip today? Is that what's going on? At the police station, hey guys, we get a lead. Do you guys have a tip on Colton? They have a tip. Airport. It turns out to be a false lead. We then head to the town where there's been a series of break-ins at the dive shop, at a local gas company.
Police was here. The security company had called her, and they were the building surrounded, looked like a Hollywood scene.
And at night, he also hit Curly Tail's restaurant next to the local marina. And did the police tell you who they think did this?
And apparently they said this is the bandit, the Barefoot Bandit.
Colton is everywhere, but nowhere.
A lot of people, they feel unsafe right now.
But the Royal Bahamian Police vow they will find him.
We should be able to take him down, have him in custody in the quickest possible time.
At week's end, there is still no sign of Colton. But then, Colton finds himself in his biggest jam yet.
So yeah, man. So this kid, he's doing what you would be doing if you escaped to the Bahamas, right? I mean, he's being a kid. He's partying. He's having a good time. He's basically escaped. He's basically, yeah. He's basically achieved what he was trying to do.
While we were looking for Colton on Abaco, he'd already allegedly stolen a yacht and escaped to the nearby Bahamian island of Eleuthera. We headed there ourselves and found James Copley, who says Colton was hanging around his bar.
The strange part of it is wondering, what he does, because he's barefoot. But
he was barefoot. Yeah. Copley says Colton broke into his club. He came right through here. And allegedly stole some snacks and water. That's where he made himself at home. And where did he sleep?
I guess see the same pool table right here.
Wow.
You think he slept on the pool table?
Yeah, I believe this.
The next night, Colton was spotted in the water near Copley's club in a boat he'd apparently stolen. He was talking to some local teens who were standing on the shore.
And they asked him, are you the guy who's going around with the airplanes? And he said, yes.
Knowing there was a $10,000 reward, the teens quickly jumped into a boat and gave chase. Colton fled to nearby Harbor Island.
I saw a boat pull up at the end of this dock right here. I saw a young man took off the dock.
Security guard Kenny Strong works at the Remora Bay Resort, just across the water from Copley's club.
I see him like he's running fast and he's breathing real hard and excited.
Security footage captured the moment.
And he was just running with some object in his hand. And as I kept looking at it, it seemed to be a gun.
Yo, doesn't the fact that this take place in the Bahamas, like the ending of all this, the climax to this entire story taking place in the Bahamas, add a certain flavor to it? Like hearing these dudes talk with their accents and shit, it's just it makes it, I don't know what it is, it just makes it kind of cooler.
What are you thinking when you see this guy?
When I see him, I get excited, and he ran towards me. He said, "They're trying to kill me." So I'm looking, who's trying to kill you?
Colton fled onto the island. Word quickly spread, boat to boat at the marina. American Jordan Sackett was aboard his family's yacht.
Everybody was on high alert that he was on the island and that he was around.
Then suddenly, as police were searching for the barefoot bandit, Jordan saw a boat roar away. It was Colton. The cops showed up with Uzis and shotguns, but they had no boat. They asked Jordan if they could use his, and he in turn asked his parents for permission.
How did that go? Mom, Dad, can I take the boat and these armed officers to pursue an armed suspect? Is that okay with you guys?
They were a little shocked at first, but it was almost as if like, gotta go get him.
Police jumped in. Colton had a 5-minute head start and was heading for open ocean until
you can see the lighter areas of where the sandbar is. The lighter.
He ran aground right at this spot. Police quickly closed in.
And his boat's right up here in front of us.
At this point, we're basically about 50 feet behind him.
At that point, police shot out the engines on Colton's boat.
It was crazy. Guns are going off everywhere. We're all ducking down to make sure that we're not getting fired upon. And the first shot fired was a shotgun.
So the shot going in,
which hit the back left engine, and basically shut it down immediately. Once the firing stopped, he popped back up. He said, "Don't shoot, I can't hear anything."
And in July 2010, after a 2-year odyssey when he was suspected of committing nearly 100 crimes and stealing 11 boats, 14 cars.
Yeah, sorry guys. I've got a couple of pages running because I've got something else pulled up that I'm gonna go over after this. But sorry about the loading. It's slowing the stream down for the doc that we're watching. But
3 guns and 5 airplanes. Colton Harris Moore.
That's crazy. I thought it was 3 airplanes, but it was 5. 5 airplanes this kid stole. Who steals 5 airplanes, dude?
Was finally arrested. In this video, exclusive to 48 Hours, the police question Colton, now outfitted in a bulletproof vest. They offer him food and water and check out the world's most famous bare feet. They also ask where he got his gun. A Walther PPK, the same type used by James Bond. He says he doesn't remember, and they all share a laugh. The next day, he is taken from Eleuthera to Nassau. It's clear his legend has traveled with him. And there on the tarmac, Colton does not disappoint, appearing barefoot before the international media.
An American teenager dubbed the Barefoot Bandit has been captured in the Bahamas.
Police in the Bahamas captured Colton Harris Moore before dawn this morning. Colton wants no part of the media circus. Let's make this back on Camino Island, Colton's mother, Pam, takes the news of her son's arrest in stride.
He's safe, and I'm happy, and I love him, and I miss him.
By the time Colton is taken to court a few days later, okay, you guys, here it comes. He is barefoot no more. Colton is deported back to where his exploits began, the Pacific Northwest. And yesterday, nearly a year after he was brought home, Colton Harris Moore faced his day of reckoning.
He has taken the first step to accept responsibility for his actions. He has pled guilty to 7 felony charges.
Those charges include stealing those airplanes, breaking into a bank, and possessing an illegal firearm. Prosecutors agreed to recommend Colton's.
And I love This kid made such an impact on the public that the DA in their press conference, in order to look good to the press, had to speak positively about this kid, because it would have been bad politics on their part. It would have been bad publicity on their part to talk bad about this kid. That's how much of an impact this kid made. That's mind-blowing right there. This kid would be like, these people were like, well, he took the first steps to take responsibility for his actions, which was absolutely true. But the fact that they acknowledged that in a press conference is crazy. That never happens. So they're coming off and they're painting the picture as being, you know, we're helping Colton. That's what we're doing. We're helping him.
Serve no more than 6.5 years in prison. But that may not be all.
He still faces state charges and potentially significant more time in the state side.
A separate deal with Washington State is expected to be completed soon for other crimes. Colton's lawyer, John Henry Brown.
Well, Colton, as I've told you all before, he dislikes publicity intensely. So he's very nervous every time he's in court. I think he feels very relieved and he's very grateful.
A key part of the plea deal specifies that Colton forfeit any money he makes from selling his story to Hollywood.
The plea agreement makes very clear that he will not profit directly or indirectly, nor will we help anyone else to profit from those crimes. Should there be monies paid because of these crimes, it will go to the people who were hurt by these crimes.
And the feds say he owes his victims at least $1 million. The court has appointed a deputy to distribute the funds.
Colton is not interested in money, he's interested in restitution.
Do you expect that the contract negotiations that are underway will meet the restitution amounts?
We don't know the answer to that. It'll come close.
With the legal issues answered, one question remains.
Has he ever told you why he did this?
We've had lots of talks. And all that will come out at some point.
Colton's journey does read like a movie plot, sprinkled with rich details like the backpack he carried during his 2 years on the lam. Inside were keepsakes from a lost childhood, sketches of airplanes, 2 photos from the 5th grade, and a Boy Scouts of America certificate.
This is an incredibly sad story. I mean, he's been failed at every step of the way. Where does this kid go to reclaim his childhood? We created this criminal, and he survived the only way he knew how.
Wow. So yeah, so I mean, that's pretty crazy stuff right there, guys. So everybody right now who's been watching this is definitely wondering, well, whatever happened to Colton? Because this story is 10 years old. It's pretty crazy that he went to jail, he did time, but he is out now, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna read something here. This is the only article that I could find regarding him. Hold on, this is a different, hold on, sorry, this is the wrong one, guys. Give me 1 second here. All right, so this is the only one that I could find. This is the most recent article that I could find. I wish there was a way that I could blow up this picture because I can't. But just to give you an idea, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share the screen here and give you guys an opportunity to see what he looked like. This is the most recent picture that I could find of him. So, yeah, he looks, oh, wait, wrong one. So, yeah, he looks like, you know, well adjusted, you know, he looks like a young man. And I'm going to go ahead and read this article. And the article says Barefoot Bandit asked judge to shorten his supervised release. And it says here, nearly a decade ago, the law caught up with the teenager from Camano Island after a prolific crime spree that ended in the Bahamas after 5 plane thefts and escapes on foot, sometimes without shoes. His exploits earned his notoriety as the Barefoot Bandit and 6.5 years in prison. At 28, Harris Moore says he's turned his life around. He's whittled down much of his $1.3 million in restitution payments. He says there's just one thing holding him back: his remaining 5 months of supervised release. He wrote earlier this month to U.S. District Court Judge Richard A. Jones asking to shorten his sentence. So apparently, according to this, let's see, this was written in April, towards the end of April last year. And so he had 5 months left, apparently. 5 months left to be stuck where he was in Washington. And so he's quoted here in saying, I have learned from my past. I do not run from it, but instead try to embrace it for the better, Harris Moore said. I hope to serve as a model for people who have hard lives and whom feel helpless. I saw it every day when I was confined, and I have seen it in the world upon release. So this kid, according to him, the whole time he's in prison, he's feeling empathy for everybody else in prison around him. He's not thinking about himself. He's not thinking, man, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I'm sure a part of him was doing that. And I'm sure, but he wasn't sitting there feeling sorry for himself, is my point. This kid, he doesn't have it in him to sit around and feel sorry for himself. At no point do you see this kid doing that in any part of this story at all. I mean, down to the part where he was choked by his dad and then called 911. He went and asked for help. A lot of kids who are abused in that sense somehow feel like they deserve it for some reason, and they just take it and they deal with it, you know, and then later on they feel sorry for themselves for it. And you know, and I'm not trying to trash people who deal with abuse in their own way, but I'm saying it's a very common thing. It happens a lot. This kid, he just, it wasn't in his nature to capitalize emotionally from this, in the way that most of us tend to do on a natural level. He naturally felt, his natural reaction to it was to strengthen, to build from it. So the court could consider the request Friday. Well, that Friday from when this was written. Described as bright and creative, Harris Moore had a troubled childhood and behavior problems in school. He had his first felony conviction by age 12. He made headlines in 2007 for a series of break-ins in Kamana Island and in neighboring Stanwood after evading capture for months by hiding in the woods and seeking shelter in empty vacation homes. He later escaped from a group home while serving a 3-year sentence for burglary. Things escalated from there. In 2009, he was implicated in dozens more burglaries in the San Juan Islands, along with boat and airplane thefts. By mid-2010, he had left Washington State, leaving a trail of stolen cars and home break-ins as he moved eastward. On July 3rd of that year, a Cessna 400 plane was stolen from a locked hangar at the Monroe County Airport in Bloomington, Indiana. The plane turned up crashed off the Abaco Islands in the Bahamas, about 1,200 miles away. The Royal Bahamas Police Force arrested Harris Moore a week later. In early 2012, Jones, the judge, handed down the federal sentence, which Harris Moore served concurrently with his punishment for state crimes. Harris Moore said he's a different person now. He says, "I do not do drugs. I do not drink alcohol. I do not associate with any criminals. I have zero risk of recidivism." Ha! Got that word right for the first time. "And I have not committed a single crime since 2010, he wrote in his April 14th letter to the court. Much of the progress toward restitution came courtesy of Hollywood. The movie studio 20th Century Fox paid more than $1 million in exchange for the rights to Harris Moore's story. Harris Moore said his remaining restitution will soon be less than $100,000. He's eager to launch a public speaking career, which he figures could earn at least $10,000 per appearance at the low end. That's impossible without being able to travel at will. Had I been able to effectively explore this opportunity, which requires absolutely fluid domestic and international travel, and assuming I was able to do this for the past 2.5 years, I would have earned around $600,000 net, Harris Moore said. The restriction has apparently interfered with his social life as well. I have not been able to visit friends in London, France, China, or Korea, he wrote. Of several examples, I recently had to decline a friend's wedding in Bali, as well as a birthday and New Year celebration in Lake Chelan, Washington. I am essentially wholly confined to Western Washington State, and it has a significant impact on my quality of life. Harris Moore's missive and is accomplished by several letters of support. They include warm words from family, friends, conservative Seattle radio host Jason Rantz and Tebby of the Jason Rantz Show, and a man who says he owned the plane that Barefoot Bandit crashed in the Bahamas. Oh, okay. So that guy later on became cool with them, I guess, because it gets some radio ratings too. But he was pissed off, man. I saw an interview with that guy, and he was pissed off that his plane got stolen. And I don't blame him. You know what I mean? I mean, radio DJs don't make that much money, and this guy, like, his dream was probably to be a pilot and have a plane, and he achieved his dream. And then this kid comes along and rips his plane off and crashes it. Of course, he's pissed off. So I don't blame him at all. So this kid, he's clearly trying to do everything that he can. He's clearly doing what he can to make the best of his intelligence, of his experience. He's doing the best that he can with his ambition. He's pointed in the right direction. This kid is an example of the system working. His home life failed him, and the system being a safety net for him, which often fails, turned out to work out for this kid. So he allowed the system to rehabilitate him, and he is now doing what he can do to give back. So I have no ill will towards this kid at all whatsoever. This is why I absolutely this is why I absolutely admire him. I think he's fantastic. I'm gonna read this letter real quick, and then I'm gonna go to bed, guys. But I'm gonna read this letter. This is the letter that he wrote to the judge. So this is Colton Harris Moore's letter to the judge a year ago, and I don't know what came about him since, but hopefully he's doing very well. I am writing this letter to the court, having rightfully served my state and federal sentences, as well as having completed state probation and 2.5 years of a 3-year probation period imposed by federal court, all of which have been completed or served to date with 0 violations or any form of recidivistic, I can't say this word now, recidivistic behavior. I am very proud of the process that has been made, that I have made strides in my personal and professional life in recent years, that my restitution is on track to be paid off completely within the next 2 years, and that the past nearly 10 years has turned out nearly as well as anyone could have hoped for, including myself. It may be an understatement to say, but it has been a long road. I often think back on what it felt like to be going through the court process, to be in the center of almost Twilight Zone level experience, not knowing what my sentence would be, let alone what it felt like to know that I had a prison sentence that felt like a lifetime. Still, more is the feeling I have looking back on that. Nothing that is done. How the years felt like watching grass grow, yet 10 years of my life is over. How fast it went. How fast will the next 10, 20, 30 years go? Something tells me faster than I would like. Despite my best intentions, I frequently find myself talking about this subject with close friends and others. However, I would say in an inspirational sense, when I was on the run, I had but a vague aim to seek out unique experiences. The past 10 years has crystallized the vagueness into a clear out purpose to learn, expand, drive toward a goal, take losses and turn them into a resource, perhaps even managing to turn losses into wins, and make the most of the time I have left. At the risk of sounding immodest, I came through the experience and all the experiences before, resilient and optimistic about the future. I am writing to convey proof of the opposite outcome of something you once told me at a sentencing, that I appeared to be immune to the intended purpose of the justice system. Rather than a letter, I had hoped to stand before you and represent that I took your words to heart. What is more, I have learned from the people who came forward to defend me, many of whom have written letters to be included with this one, as well as having taken lessons from even subtle conversations and interactions from individuals such as John Henry Brown, Lance Black, Jonathan Standridge, Lance Rosen, and the legions of others who emerged to stand by my side, offering their knowledge, experience, and counsel. These previously unknown people have proven to become dear friends in many cases, trusted advisors, and even prospective business partners. Initially, I would say that the past 10 years was the worst experience of my life, which is not inaccurate. Yet it simultaneously was and is the most important and fulfilling period of my life. What shocks me is just how deeply that statement resonates true, and how I had no clue whatever that it would turn out to be this way. It simply was beyond my imagination. When I wrote my letter to the court stating that I lacked a full understanding of the lifelong ramifications of my previous actions, even at that time, as time would prove, I did not understand just how true that would still prove to be. Thus is life. Yet, I do not want to over philosophize, The core fact is that I have managed to turn what I witnessed many times to be a dooming of some people into something productive, empowering, motivating, and fulfilling for the friendships and relationships it is solely responsible for. Standing before you nearly 10 years ago was the beginning of something I could have never predicted. It is nearly 10 years later. It is nearly 10 years later that I have the unusual, if not unlikely, pleasure of writing to you with lessons learned and how your own words perhaps changed the trajectory of my life for the better. My main purpose with writing this letter is to appeal to your honor. I have served 2.5 years of a 3-year probation period without a single violation or even minor issue. I have maintained a great and professional rapport and relationship with Angela McLean, who I am still in limited contact with despite the fact that she is no longer my assigned probation officer. I have also maintained a great rapport with Blake Gilliff, I can't pronounce his name, whom was assigned following Mrs. McGlynn. I have striven to follow all rules and guidelines, and I believe I have done so with success. I have passed all drug tests, submitted all paperwork requested, and made consistent payments to restitution. As of this writing, I am in the process of submitting to pay.gov a payment of $25,000, which represents a 25% share of my net income from a renovation project I recently managed and saw to completion. When my minimum payment of 10% of income, and I believe that 10% is after net, I have had success. However, being on probation has proven to be a significant limiter to my productivity and especially my ability to explore all opportunities available. A prime example being in public speaking. Excuse me. The screenwriter for the Fox movie, which was used to pay over $1.150 million towards restitution, has long attempted to convince me to enter into public speaking. I have been advised that my income from that would start in the low end of $10,000 to $20,000 per event, which is relatively high due to my notoriety. And that it would be absolutely reasonable to assume a minimum number of one event per 2 weeks, whereas most speakers attend events near daily. Had I been able to effectively explore this opportunity, which requires absolutely fluid domestic and international travel, and assuming I was able to do this for the past 2.5 years, I would have earned around $600,000 net. Yet this is absolutely unavailable for the domestic traveling, which requires applications whose duration is so lengthy and uncertain of approval that it precludes effectivity conducting this business. What is more, being able to travel is an important aspect of my personal life. I have not been able to visit friends in London, France, China, or Korea, or several examples. I recently had to decline a friend's wedding in Bali, as well as a birthday and New Year celebration in Lake Chelan, Washington. I am essentially wholly confined to Western Washington State, and it has a significant impact to my quality of life. Being on probation serves a purpose. However, I do not experience any of the problems for which probation is intended to control or remedy. I have attempted in every way possible to move the needle forward in all aspects of my life, rightly and legally. However, the inherent limitations imposed by being on probation have precluded significant forward progress and has limited my ability to be a productive person in the community or with whom I may otherwise work with, be it in business or in leading by example of what I have done and how others may do the same, i.e. public and or motivational speaking. I do not do drugs. I do not drink alcohol. I do not associate myself with criminals. I have zero risk of recidivism. And I have not committed a single crime since 2010. I take inspiration from people in my life and those who I have never met, but whom serve as an admirable example of the power of one's mind, vigor, and determination. If properly utilized, such as Sir Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and creators of all kinds. What is more, I have learned from my past. I do not run from it, but instead try to embrace it for the better. I hope to serve as a model for people who have hard lives and who feel helpless. I saw it better. I saw it every day when I was confined, and I have seen it in the world upon release. I feel that I could be an inspirational model for people, not because of an arrogant sense or anything, but rather because I have been to hell and back, still standing, still inspired, still making progress, still seeing the future, still alive and full of energy. I can show people that even if they have a criminal record, even if they have debt, even if they thus far have not accomplished a single thing they once dreamed of, they still can. But in order to serve as that example, I both need the freedom and travel unencumbered, as well as the freedom to conduct business. Whereas right now, no one wants to come close to me while I am still on probation because I am viewed as a hot potato. I understand that. To the best of my understanding, the main purpose of being on probation is to employ a mechanism by which my restitution would be paid down. I have made as many strides as possible towards paying that debt down, with the ultimate intention being to eliminate the debt. I have often said that no one wants the debt paid more than myself. It is a major source of stress in my life, figuring out how to pay it when I am seemingly of such limited means to do so. My goal is to open up the full range of opportunities available. This kid is incredible. And be able to eliminate the debt within the next 1 to 2 years. A 5+ month head start on this effort would make a significant difference. What is more, my dedication to doing so is exemplified in my restitution imminently scheduled to be under $100,000 for the first time, down from over 1.2 million when it was ruled upon. It is on track, a major objective of mine and something I take extremely seriously. I consider it being a major block to truly moving into the future, as well as something that once done will add to my credibility immensely, further bolstering my position speaking to people and proving that I am able to do that in which I am intending to inspire them to do in their own lives. Sorry, guys, I'm just like my eyes are getting foggy, and this is really, really small, but this is almost done. I humbly ask and plead your honor to release the final 5+ months of my probation and thus allow the opportunity to attain my freedom once and for all after this long and trying period. In doing so, I will continue to strive toward accomplishing my goals, building my career, and pursuing the countless opportunities to move toward financial freedom, and the very opportunities which will allow me to pay the remainder of my restitution, as well as the opportunities which would immediately become available to continue building my personal life, all to the end of becoming someone who people may look up to for how they may overcome the challenges in their own lives and accomplish their dreams. I humbly and sincerely ask, I am humbly and sincerely asking for your consideration and help. I am not immune to the lessons offered by the justice system. I am someone who has learned from the past mistakes of naivety, youth, and I am not taking lessons. And I am not taking lesson when there was an opportunity to do so. Excuse me. I have grown into a man who has taken responsibility, followed all of the rules, shown nearly everyone with respect, worked to build up my life, and continually move into the future with the benefit of knowing the difference between right and wrong. I heard words when they were spoken to me. I set out to prove who I am as a person. Nearly 10 years later, I ask for your help in allowing me to continue this journey sooner than otherwise possible. Yours sincerely, Colton Harris Moore. Now, guys, I don't see how any of that can be misconstrued. I don't see how. Now, I don't know. Did that ruling get denied? But see, I mean, how much could 5 months really stop him if that's the case, Caleb? You know what I'm saying? Like how much? I mean, he only had 5 months left of that probation sentence. So we're talking about. I don't see this kid. Actually a young man now. I mean, he's a grown man now, and I don't see him being any way insincere in this. He even laid out a dollar amount, numerous dollar amounts, as to what he would be making and what he could see. This kid had his future planned out. He had a financial plan moving forward with his life. And the first thing on that checklist was paying restitutions to everybody who he did wrong. So Caleb is saying that he was successfully released from 10 years probation in September 2019. So this kid right now is just getting his life started. It is now February 2020. So I don't know about you guys, but I think what we're gonna do here on the Glare is we are going to start keeping tabs on Mr. Colton Harris Moore, and we're gonna see where his life is going to be going moving forward. I'm really excited to see. I want to see this kid succeed. I want to see this young man succeed. I want to see this young man do everything that his brilliant mom, the obstacle of being a convicted felon. I want to see him prove that that's no excuse. Shit, sweet crazy, I wish. But I am absolutely I am more, I can't, to say that I'm impressed by this human being is a ridiculous understatement. And I actually, after reading that letter, after watching that 48 hours piece and watching it with you guys, and because that's the first time I've watched that piece, it's really kind of cool, because a lot of times, like my best lives turn out to be stuff that, like, I'll just kind of, I like to experience it with you guys and not first and then show you guys. And then it just turned out that fate had it to where we were looking for a very extensive documentary piece, and 48 Hours did a fantastic job with it, and we got to enjoy it together. And and how great was it to read that letter together at the end of all this and get that kind of closure. And I mean, that's the ending that I was hoping for, wasn't it? For you guys. I mean, this is exactly how, you know, and not knowing this, not actually knowing this, but knowing it in my heart as I'm hearing about his actions and his upbringing and what was driving him, seeing that confirmed in this letter was extremely rewarding for me, and getting to do that with you guys was extremely rewarding for me. So thank you guys for joining the chat tonight and experiencing that with me, because I had a really, really, really nice time. Yeah, it did have a sweet ending, sweet crazy. I want to take a second because I also have I've got a brand new mod team, and I take pride in choosing my mod team. I take pride in choosing a mod team carefully and wisely. And I did so with my last mod team too, and I still have members from that last mod team who are still my mods, and I take pride in them, and I have nothing against my other mods that are no longer part of the team. I think it was their choice to no longer be part of it, and it just boils down to. It's something that I always say here. I have nothing negative to say about them, and I think that all it turned out is, you know, it happens. I want people that believe in what I'm doing here, and that enjoy the channel and get something out of this channel. And I think that it just we reached the crossroads where those particular people were not getting anything out of this anymore. For they you know, and that's okay. That's nothing to hold against anybody. If anything, it's something that I should hold against myself. I failed them, I guess, maybe in entertaining them, and and that's okay. All I can do is just continue to do the best that I can. But I'm really grateful that I have the mods that I have now. Caleb and Breakfast Club fan are doing incredible. That girl, I just recently wrenched her, and she's not here tonight, but she turned out to be a listener from the very beginning of this channel, and has seen me grow as a creator, and has stuck with me this whole time, and it's fantastic. That's something to be very, very grateful for. And then of course there's Doodlebug and Save Robbie, who we all love, and Mignon, who we all love. You know, so I'm really happy with the with my mod team, and really grateful for you guys that you guys were willing to do this for this channel and contribute what you have to this channel. You guys have been doing incredible, and I'm really, really happy to have you. So I humbly thank you for everything that you've been doing for the channel. And I mean that with all my heart. And hey, thanks, Soul for Music. I really appreciate you. And you've always been a great subscriber and listener, and I really, really appreciate you. You know, I mean, yeah, you're allowed to disagree. There's no it's all good, you know. You're absolutely and totally allowed to disagree with you know, I go in different chats and in different channels, and I'll disagree with stuff that's being said. Sure. That's what the chat's for, is to discuss things. And I knew once you saw, I knew once you kind of got an idea of how things, where my man was currently, you'd probably have a different perspective on the entire situation. This isn't a guy who is sticking his middle finger up to everybody right now. He was an angry kid, and for an angry kid, he didn't do anything that wasn't, you know, that couldn't be repaired, that couldn't be fixed, that couldn't be made right. And he's making everything right. He's made a lot right already, and he's still working on making everything right. And he's proof that we can apply ourselves. And I think that's the most important lesson of this entire story is, and he I mean, this kid he's a total glarer, dude. I mean, he feels grateful for having the experiences that he's had. You know, this is a kid who does think logically. He does behave rationally. Even when he was committing crimes, he was applying these principles. He was being logical. He was being rational. He applied glare principles to being a thief. I mean, that's mind blowing to me. You know, he cleaned up after himself in people's houses as best as he could, as much as you could expect a kid to do so. He was thoughtful. It's crazy. So it's, you know, and he was resilient. He was resilient. Like, I am not getting caught. I am doing what I'm gonna do. And it's, yeah, it's crazy. This kid totally applied glare principles, and he's doing it now. He's doing it now better than I could ever even dream of doing. You know, this is why I don't take credit for this concept. It's just, it's nothing to take credit for. It's just something that I thought of, and I was like, if I apply this stuff, I'll be headed in a better direction myself. And I don't have nearly the smarts or the ambition. I could only dream of having the smarts or the ambition that this kid has. Yeah. You know, just exploring this young man's story was incredibly inspiring for me. And it's really funny because, you know, I'm really excited to find out what this movie's going to do, because it can't do anything but glamorize this story. I mean, it's a glamorous story. It just is. It's a glamorous story, you know. You could tell it exactly how it was, and it will be heartwarming. It'll be entertaining. It'll be funny. It'll be you know, suspenseful, and yet it'll be heartwarming. It'll tug at your heartstrings, man. And all you have to do is tell the story exactly how it went. That's crazy to me, man. That's crazy. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for me tonight. I'm really grateful for you guys. I love you very much, and I want you to have the best night possible. And we will do this again very, very, very soon. And it was cool to cover. I mean, how often is that done? Where cover a true crime case, and it's got a beautiful positive ending, and nobody got killed. But anyways, guys, I love you very much. You guys have a great night.